I'm Joshua Potts, Mr. Possible, always with a brother with the same mother, Aaron Potts, Super Hot Potts, and you're watching and listening to your favorite two black runners win every single two black two. Yes, 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 yes. Let's go. Turn up. Come on. Let's go. I put him on the thing. That's everyone's. Wait, mom just came in here. Mom just ruined. It's still good though. We can still cut it though. But... No, that's David's.
Dang, man. Bro, I really just put my heart and soul into that Two Black Tuesday. Mommy just came in there and messed it up. Bro.
For real, ruined the whole vibe.
Come on,
man. Come on.
I really just went in for y'all, man. You don't understand how much I just went in, bro.
But she can't ruin the vibe because we hyped for this podcast. We hyped for this week. New York City pop-up shop for a HOKA is going down this week with a live podcast with your favorite two black runners, Mr. Possible and Super Hot Potts. Friday, November 5th at the HOKA pop-up shop. You can sign up in the show notes. Go to our link in bio on Instagram. Really, wherever you want to find us, you can sign up, register, get your spot in the live podcast. It's going up. It's going up for sure. We excited to be in New York. Our first ever major marathon. Our first ever time in New York. We basically been talking about for 3 weeks now. Y'all probably tired of hearing it, but I'm sorry. You're going to hear about it for another 2 more weeks because we're really hyped. We're really hyped for what's about to go down.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Come see us at the live show, man. This don't happen. This don't happen very often. You about to see us on the live stage. So make sure y'all come through. And again, that's 9:30 a.m. at the HOKA pop-up shop on November 5th. Before that, at 8:30 a.m., we're going to do a shakeout run. Rachel Snyder's going to join us. Luis Grajava's going to join us. So you get to shake out with an Olympian. Hey, Josh, I'll send you that link. Put that link in the show notes too. But excited to be on with y'all. It's going to be an amazing week, bro. We're going to come back with some good content for y'all.
Me too. It's going to be very, very exciting. But this podcast coming up right now that you're listening to is also going to be so exciting. We got from the morning shakeout Mario Fraioli joining us later on to the show to talk about the excitement of the New York City Marathon, the Tessabeka Days, heroic and historic run in the world in the half marathon, then also to talk about the World Athletics Athlete of the Year and some false starts. But before we get to that, I gotta take you guys around the track because this past weekend was probably some of the best stuff we see in NCAA running all the time, and that is conference weekend, specifically in cross country. It's always exciting, always a lot of races, and there's a lot of notable headlines. First, I want to start here, Aaron. Connor Mantz wins the WCC again. He doesn't really lose. Mantz to make him dance, you feel me? But the thing that's not really the story because we know what happens. It always happens. But I want to acknowledge that Connor Mantz, this is his 20th meet in his career where he hasn't finished outside of the top 10. The man doesn't lose. Mantz to make him dance. Also, its 6th straight individual title, including this one past year in the beginning of the 2020 cross country season, bruh. Connor Mantz is nice, Aaron. This man's nice.
All you really man's to make them dance.
Hey,
dude, the man is always on the mission. I like seeing his boy Casey Klinger right on him too. So always comes with excitement, and that battle between him and Wesley Kiptoo, the NAU dudes, and that boy Adrian down at FSU is that's gonna be a crazy on the men's side to see that.
But the two people you just forgot to leave out, bruh, is Cooper Tier and Charles Hicks. And they had a battle at the Pac-12 championships all the way to the wire. But Charles Hicks broke Cooper Tier at the Pac-12 championships, leading Stanford to a 2nd place finish as well. But the most surprising thing to me had to be that Charles Hicks beating Cooper Tier. He was beasting it last year and ran great past year in track. But he's really cementing himself and coming on to his own as a real threat to that real real individual title race that we're seeing up front with Kiptoo and Mance that you're just mentioning. But I gotta ask you, Aaron, what is more alarming? Hicks becoming a serious threat in the NCAA, or Oregon finishing 4th in Pac-12 behind Washington, Stanford, Colorado? I thought they were gonna be a real threat to the title this year.
I mean, that's really not alarming to me. We always know Oregon comes ready in the track season. So cross country, I mean, we gotta look at. I would have to go look at their roster, but if I would bet that they have a bunch of milers on there, you know. So that doesn't really alarm me. And also, every year, Colorado is a great team. Stanford is a great team, and Washington balled out. So no shame. They just got beat by some great dudes. And also, one thing that you were talking about Charles Hicks, like that man is a freshman. And on Stanford's entire top 6 were freshmen, and they're currently ranked in the top 5 in the nation, with Charles Hicks beating Cooper Tier. They still got Cole Sprout. They got Kai Robinson. Dude, this is looking like a team that can challenge NAU, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, because they're going to continue to develop. And let's see who they pick up this fall.
Man, that just really seems like a really fun team to be a part of right now, especially them all being so young and the bright future that they have. But another team that seems even more fun to be a part of has to be this NC State women team, as they dominate ACCs, winning with only 20 points and having old NXN rivals of Kelsey Chimo and Caitlin Tui leading the way, and Kelsey Chimo getting the best of Tui as she is in her junior year, and Tui's just is really this is her first ever like real cross country season. But honestly, bro, it just brings a smile to my face when I'm watching this race going down. And like the past 4 years before this, we were seeing them battle out at NXN and everything, and Caitlin Tui go down as like one of the greatest high school runners ever, to now see them on the same team. Like that's some real type of that's a movie, bro. That's a movie.
Dude, it really is, to see Caitlin and Kelsey both up there just doing their thing. And yes, this was just ACCs, but also just at Nettycombe, Kelsey took second. Caitlin Tui was about 3 or 2 places behind. So this may be the best 1-2 punch right now that we have on the NCAA, definitely on the women's side. So it's exciting to see, because Caitlin is a freshman, Kelsey is a sophomore. So this is something that we're going to continue to see, unless, you know, they have that breakout year and decide to leave the NCAA. But until then, I'm going to love watching them race cross country.
Then on the men's side of ACCs, we had Adrian Winshut go out there and completely dominate the field from start to finish, led all the way throughout, and beat a really good Notre Dame team in his individual victories from FSU. He's an NCAA dark horse you're looking at right now, Aaron. Definitely on your side, huh?
Yeah, that's my dark horse, Brad. That's my dark horse out of FSU. The other day at pre-Nats, he finished 1 second behind Connor Mance. But that course that they were on, I believe that's where they're running nationals. So he already has that advantage. But if you just look at his PRs, 13:28 last year, 27:48, 8th in the 10K. This man is gonna be up there with Wesley Kiptoo and Connor Mance, and he's gonna try and upset them. I think he's not a senior either, so we're gonna see him back again next year. So that's gonna be a battle up front that I'm ready to see.
Most definitely. And Adrian, he was up there too, really challenging with the big boys. So it's going to be exciting. But Mance to make him dance, bro. I don't know, dude. I don't know. And Nico Young too. But let's talk about those NAU men real quick. Drew Bosley and Nico Young went 1-2 to lead the NAU men to, I don't know, like their 50th Big Sky win in a row for the conference championship. But the thing that's really exciting me is the women sweeping, making that sweep complete for the NAU men and women, taking both of the team titles. That was Taryn O'Neill leading the way for the women, as the women only scored 37 points. And like, does this make NAU an even more desirable place to be, as the NAU women they're ranked right now at number 11 in NCAAs? Like, does this just make it even more desirable for people to go here? Like, if it hasn't even more desirable already.
Most definitely, man. I mean, like you're saying, like Flagstaff is one of the running capitals in the U.S. with the altitude and all the beautiful trails. So to know that Mike Smith can not only coach men, but he can coach women to that high caliber level, I mean, that would draw me to NAU for sure. But it's exciting to see their women just come up on the rise, and I mean, I would love to see them like Colorado men and women are balling right now. Oklahoma State men and women are balling right now. So I love to see when both sides of the program are doing their.
Yeah, I want to see them both on the podium. That would be something a real sight to see. Definitely, they really solidify like NAU and Mike Smith's legacy as well. That would be really fun to really see that happen. But no, it was also really fun, Aaron. This Drake men finish at their conference meet, bro. This was probably the most fun that you'll ever see people having at a cross country meet. And I'm just surprised these dudes didn't get DQ'd, man. These two guys coming down to the finish, shaking each other's hands, turning around, putting their hands out with like 50 meters left to go in the race. Like, how have you had a moment where you had this much fun in a cross country race compared to these guys, bro? Like, look at this. This is absolutely some of the best time that you can have with like your number 1 and 2 guys. Like, come on, man. How did they not get DQ'd? That's what I'm thinking. Like,
this makes me think like they weren't supposed to go 1-2. That's what it makes me feel like, the way that they celebrated. But I have had a moment like this. My high school senior year in cross country at a league meet, we swept that 1, 2, 3 on Corona. Yeah, Corona. Y'all know who you are. But yeah, we finished it in. I remember I ran with my teammate Kyle. Shout out Kyle. Finished it in. I had my hands out. I had put the 3 up. You know, I wasn't jumping up and down though, but I was excited. So I understand that.
My freshman year, I had a really good freshman class and we swept the Inland Empire Championship, and that was one of the most exciting times I ever had. And then one time on the JV team, we swept 1 through 5 as well. Definitely really exciting time to always sweep. And when we did do that, I was like, next time we got to bring some brooms to this, because that would really be a hard moment to do. That would be hard to just bring some brooms out. That would probably definitely get you DQ'd though. Definitely. But also some people are hoping that do get DQ'd in high school races because they are so fast. You really can't stop them. It's Newberry Park, averaging a 14:55 at the historic Woodward Park, shattering the team record that they already set last year. Like right now, bro, like I think the only conversation that we can have is that we already know they're the greatest high school cross country team of all time. But like, can this top 5 qualify for NCAAs right now? Can they do that, Aaron?
Yes. They definitely can, bro. Like, y'all saw what Nico Young did his first year, right? Well, they got 2 Nico Youngs, bro. They got 2 Nico runs, and then they got Colin Solomon and his little bro, too. I'm sorry I'm forgetting your name. But these dudes are crazy, man. Like, I'm sorry, but these dudes could win the Big West cross-country meet. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Right down the street
That was disrespectful. That was disrespectful.
Right down the street for me, but he could win the Big West. You know what I'm saying? Is it disrespectful? Because I'm not even gonna go that far. I'm not gonna go that far.
Wow, but, that's crazy.
Hey man, I ain't trying to talk crazy, but I'm just trying to talk facts. Like, the dudes are different, bro.
Coming up next, we got Mario Fraioli on the podcast from the Morning Shakeout to talk more about the NYC Marathon coming up this weekend, and also just all the great news that's been happening in the running world, and I had to talk to Mario, bruh. He's one of the homies, gives us a pep talk, hypes us up for NYC this weekend. Stay tuned for that. Now joining on the podcast, we have from the Morning Shakeout, Mario Fraioli. Man, one of the most professional podcast hosts that you'll ever listening to, has everything on the newsletter as well in the Morning Shakeout. Mario Fraioli joining us on the podcast right now. Mario, how's it going, man? How's it going?
It's going well. It's an honor to be on this side of the mic. I enjoyed having both of you on my show a few months ago, and it's a real thrill to be here to talk with you guys today.
And it's nice to have you back on this time, because last time I had you, when we were on your podcast, that's when I just had my appendix ripped out of my body, so I was definitely not in the right shape. So now to talk to you, like, now I'm fully, like, everything's kind of wired now, and I understand what's going on. Like, I'm not gonna start sweating halfway through this, so I'm happy about that situation.
I'm impressed that you made it through that conversation, because we talked for a while. I mean, it was over an hour, and you were kind of hanging on by a thread, like laying there in your bed, I think with your mic on your, like on your stomach, just like trying to stay awake for the entire thing. So kudos to you for putting up a good show that time.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always great, to be in the presence of a legend. And last time we saw you too, you put us on. You let us know like what kind of mics to get. Cameras and stuff like that. So to get to speak to you and have you on our show, such an honor. But I wanted to ask you too, like, so many people are coming up with podcasts, and like we just said, you're a legend. You've been in the game for so long. What's it like seeing this explosion from just people like me and Joshua to like athletes all just creating in the track and field space?
I mean, it's really exciting because it's just more voices that are coming out into the space. And I've always believed that running is just really diverse and multidimensional, and a lot of stuff just gets lumped under running. But what we're seeing now with the prevalence of all these podcasts is just new voices literally coming out and getting into people's ears. I mean, that's been happening the past several years just through social media. I mean, newsletters are also exploding along with podcasts. I mean, I've been in the newsletter game for 6 years now, podcasting for 4. And over the last 18 months, like both of those mediums in running have just exploded. And I think it's exciting to see. What gets frustrating is when you see people come out with all this energy and hype, and they'll get out like 3, 4, 6, 10 episodes, and then it just falls flat. And I hate seeing that, because I know how hard it is to do this consistently and to do it consistently well. And I think the space would be better overall if more people stayed with it. I hate just seeing these, like, you know, and this isn't calling out anyone in particular, but just flashes in the pan that are really exciting out the gate, and then they just sort of like fizzle off. It's like, hey, if you just stuck with that a little bit longer, you know, you're adding a valuable voice to the space. So I like it. I think it's exciting. I'm hearing stories that I otherwise wouldn't hear. I'm getting perspectives that I otherwise wouldn't get to see. So I mean, I think it's good for the space just to get more voices into it and have more people heard.
And speaking into like that flash of the pans that do happen, unfortunately do kind of like happen at times. I remember when you were talking to us in like Magic Boost, when who else was that, when Chris Bennett was with us as well? And then well, no, that wasn't with Chris Bennett.
That was me,
with
Allison Wade, and who was the other?
Was it Liam?
Yes, I think because it may have been.
No, I don't think it was Liam. I know
that's the one I came in late, so that's why. No,
because my Magic Boost presentation was mostly about newsletters. I think we branched off and talked about.
Oh, it was Kyle. It was Kyle.
Correct.
Merber.
Yeah. Sorry, Kyle Merber.
He's gonna be mad. He's gonna be salty.
But I remember that's one of the things that you sort of like hit on, is that you're very strict on like you have a strict schedule, and you have your days where like you just don't touch like the newsletter, don't really like look at running, and like you're not even on really your social media. Like you just do your kind of like stay in your lane for that you don't go insane. Like if that makes the most sense.
Right, but it took me a little while to get there, because I was on social media until about 13 months ago. Personal social media, that is. The Morning Shakeout still has accounts, and I have someone, Jeff Stern, who runs both of those for me. But yeah, I mean, I do very much try to stay in my lane as far as when the newsletter comes out, when the podcast comes out, and as much as I have a lane for what I write about and like the kind of people that I talk to, I guess I do that as well. But yeah, from just like a workflow standpoint and a consistency standpoint, I mean, those are, you know, that's really important to me, is to be consistent and to be, to be consistent, but also to put out quality content on a consistent basis as well.
Yeah, another thing I feel like is really cool about, running in general. We were just talking about the New York Marathon, and I was talking to you how I was seeing all this cool creative events that are happening all around the city, whether it's basically an art show with all these amazing photos that are captured, or live podcasts. I feel like that is something that's also on the boom, and I know you have some experience doing live podcasts and stuff like that. I guess what I'm basically saying is runners are creative, very, very creative people.
Yeah, and it's been exciting to see more and more of that in the last several years. So, I mean, just to give a little context, I mean, I've been covering this sport to one degree or another since 2006, basically. And I've been at major marathons, major track meets for about that same amount of time. So we're talking 15 years or so now. And it's really not until, I'd say, the last 5 or 6 that we've been seeing this sort of stuff at major marathons. It's certainly happened at track meets too, where you got shakeout runs, you've got live podcasts, you've got art exhibits, you've got photo shows, all kinds of stuff that's happening, and it's cool. And it's almost overwhelming at times, because as a fan who wants to go and check all of this stuff out, a lot of them overlap, and you got to start picking and choosing, like, okay, where do I go? Because there's only so many hours in the day and so many places you can be at the same time. But I think it's a good thing that there's excitement around the sport, around the event, and that people have options for different things that they can check out in a given week.
And with us, this is going to be our first time really going to like a major marathon with this New York City pop-up for HOKA, and doing this live podcast. And you went to Boston earlier this year, correct? And you were just talking to us off wax that you've been to the New York Marathon like since 2013. This is your first time not really going. Like, what are some do's and don'ts that we need to do when we go out to New York, like especially the New York City Marathon? Because like this is big. Like this is gonna be intense. Like, what are some do's or don'ts that we need to be looking forward to?
Well, first of all, I'm stoked for you guys to be going there for the first time and to have the opportunity to host a live show. I mean, I think that in itself is going to be off the hook from an energy standpoint. But I mean, New York they call it the city that never sleeps, right? And the New York City Marathon is the largest marathon in the world. So you guys are like jumping right into the deep end with this. So I mean, my worry for you guys is coming out of it that nothing else is going to really live up to that kind of excitement. But I mean, New York this year, with it being the 50th running of the race, there's going to be a lot of excitement around that. I mean, it really is the New York City Marathon. The race runs through the entire city. The whole city gets into it. I mean, and for race weekend, a lot of stuff is kind of clustered around Central Park, which is where the finish line is, and then also where a lot of, these pop-ups are, and the New York Roadrunners Run Center is down that way. So there's always people running around there and milling around. There's, different things that you can jump to. So, I mean, I think outside of like your actual show, which we can get to, I mean, just try to go and experience as much of that as you can. Like, go for a run in Central Park, because there are people who are going to be, they're probably already there as of this conversation, but who are coming into town for the race. And a lot of them run around Central Park. I mean, being in a major city like that, people will run through streets to get there, but that's where everyone kind of congregates, especially marathon weekend. And you could just be out for a jog in Central Park, and I mean, you might see Ken and Nisa Bekele running around Central Park, like getting his shakeout running. You got, tour groups from Italy coming over. There's like, several dozen people who have been aiming for this race now for the last, couple of years. I mean, people who aren't even running the marathon, they're just in town to go watch it, or people who live in the city just out for runs. And you can just feel that energy, like it's palpable. So I think, surround yourself with that as much as you can, feed off of it as much as you can. Because I mean, there's nothing like it. I mean, there's really nothing like it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I would advise you to do. Just like feed off of that energy, immerse yourself just in the excitement of the weekend. And I mean, I know for you guys, you've covered a lot of track meets, like that's kind of more your bread and butter type of thing. And I mean, Aaron, you were just talking about how you went to the Olympic Trials Marathon in February 2020 in Atlanta. I mean, that was a great event. I was there too. The energy was great. The excitement was there. I mean, we're choosing our Olympic team and all of that. There's been storylines leading up to it. I mean, New York is going to dwarf that. I mean, it's just going to dwarf. It's just so much bigger. I mean, the event itself is just so big. The amount of people who are running it is just so massive that, and being in that city where it's like everything is just moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Everything is just, big and exciting. I mean, I'm stoked for you guys. I think it's a great opportunity, and especially for your podcast, for the Two Black Runners podcast. I mean, that's a stage, right? The New York City Marathon is a stage, and it's and as far as events go, I mean, as much fun as you guys have at a lot of these track meets, I love them too. I mean, what the Sound Running folks are doing, what Trials of Miles Racing was doing this past year is great. I mean, this is just on another level. I mean, the stage is going to be huge for you guys. HOKA is going to set it really well. I mean, that brand has just completely blown up in all aspects of running over the last few years, and I know they really want to have just a big presence at the New York City Marathon with their pop-up shop. I mean, they're giving you guys the stage, they're going to hype it. I mean, the brand just has a lot of like loyal supporters and people who are excited about it, who are going to be there. I mean, I just think it's an awesome opportunity for more people to become aware of what you guys are doing in an arena that is kind of, I mean, you guys are in running, but like New York City Marathon, major marathon, that's like new ground for you guys, right? So it's like you're going to reach all kinds of people that you haven't really reached to this point, and who knows where that's going to take you, but I'm excited for it.
Man, that was like the best pep talk we could have got.
I'm ready.
Like,
Let's go.
That was a pep talk.
Hey man, I think we gotta do baton talk, Joshua, in Central Park. That's what I heard.
That's what I was thinking too when he was saying about there's gonna be so many people in Central Park. Like we gotta do something out there.
Well, so here's it's your show. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that does give me an idea. I'm not sure what baton talk is exactly, but going to Central Park, you could just plant yourself on a corner. People are going to be running by from every which corner of the earth, like sizes, shapes, everything, like ability levels. You just get so many interesting stories. You'd meet so many interesting people, like just running by. Runners are pretty easy to spot, especially New York City Marathon weekend. And it could be a pretty cool segment.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be awesome. And before we get into more of the running news, like let's talk about like the pro field a little bit in that. And like you raced at Boston, you had former people that were on your podcast do very well. Like CJ Albertson, I thought this man was about to just when I was watching that online, I was getting hyped. And then Colin Beanie as well that you had on the podcast before did super well. I believe they both finished in the top 10. I believe. Well,
correct.
CJ Albertson finished. Did he finish 11th? CJ Albertson.
I thought he got.
Was he 11th or 10th? I thought he snuck into the top 10 because I think he was in the money. But don't quote me on that. I know Colin was 7th.
But who are you most excited to see specifically, like in like the pro field race at the New York City Marathon this coming weekend?
I swear that I'm not like just taking the easy way out when I say this, but Ken Anissa.
That's fair.
That's not the easy way out. I love.
But I feel like he's like, and this is no disrespect to anyone else in the field, but it's like he's running his second major of the fall. He's arguably like the greatest, certainly one of the greatest distance runners of all time. I think it's his first time racing a marathon that's not flat and fast, where he's chasing a world record kind of time. But he's the greatest, in my opinion. You can fight me on this if you want, but the greatest cross-country runner of all time. And the New York City Marathon is a cross-country runner's course. It's punchy, it's not a rhythm runner's course. It's a racer's race. And Ken Anissa's up there in age. He's kind of been like swinging all over the place in the marathon the last couple of years, but I think if he's on, it just plays to his strengths, and he's going to be really hard to beat. So I'm really stoked for Ken Anissa. And then on the women's side, I'm excited to see Molly Seidel. Coming back from Tokyo, homecoming after winning an Olympic medal. It's still like crazy to think that she's only run 3 marathons at this point. So this is her 4th marathon, and it's her first one in the U.S. since the trials, when she made the team. She ran London between the trials and the games. There's going to be, the hype around her. I shouldn't even call it hype. It's well deserved. The excitement around her is going to be wild. I already know it. Like just around the course, like people are going to see her. She'll have her name on her bib, Molly. That's a lot. I think it's a lot of weight to carry too, because she really hasn't had a bad marathon. I have no reason to believe that she's going to have a bad marathon by any stretch, but I'm excited to watch her race to see, okay, can she bounce back, just from a recoverability standpoint from racing a tough marathon, just a few months ago at the end of summer, and perform at, a high level in a major just a few months later. It's kind of been 50-50 for the folks who've kind of done that turnaround already, since Tokyo. So I'm excited to see what she can do on the women's side.
Hey man, I love Bekele, so I'm all good with that take. Like he's the GOAT to me as well. So whenever he is on, I think he's almost impossible to beat. And I also feel like for Molly, when you're saying that, I'm thinking like, man, if Molly was to go out here and win this race, she'd be a bona fide star.
Legend.
Star. Like she would take over the marathon games, and she would be making Puma a lot of money.
For sure,
everywhere.
For sure. That would take her to like Joan Benoit Samuelson status, like right away. To go Olympic medal and major marathon win within like a few months. That
4th marathon too.
Yeah, 4th marathon. No pressure, Molly, if you're listening to this, but we'd love to see it.
She'll have to take down Olympic champion though, Paris Jepchirchir, who is the women's only half marathon world record holder. But the women's half marathon record also got broken. We gotta talk to you about it, Mario, as well. The Tessabet Gidey breaking the half marathon world record in Valencia, 102.52. Previously, that was 104. She broke the 104 and 103 barrier in one race. The Tessabet Gidey in her first ever half marathon ever. Like, bro, she's an all-time great already. She owns the 15K world record. She owns the 5K world record on the track and the 10K world record on the track. Like, when I woke up that morning and I seen this, there were no words. Mario, have you gained some words about Gidey's performance since that was just like 2 weeks ago?
I'm going to replace one of yours. She didn't just break the world record. She shattered it. I mean, she took 70 seconds off the world record.
Crazy.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy town. I mean, she just skipped the 64s, skipped 63, like 62, 52. I mean, is just, I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know that I have any more words than you do, Joshua, but I mean, that is, in my opinion, the greatest running performance. I'll call it distance running. Greatest distance running performance of all time. I mean, hands down. I tried. I mean, I tried to find something that was more impressive to me than that, and I can't find it. I mean, I look at her splits, and I mean, her individual 5Ks. You pull any one of those out, they're going to win most major road races around the world. You look at the fact that she ran 48 for a 10K in there, or maybe it was faster, 38 or something like that for one of those 10Ks was kind of wild. But the big one to me, and you touched on it, so she already had the 15K world record, which that is one of the most overlooked performances in history. And it's because 15K it's an odd distance. It just doesn't get a lot of love, especially here in the US. But she had run 44:20, and that performance was just like mind-blowing. And her last 10K of that race was like 20. It was faster than the world record. It was like 20 at the time. 29:13, I think, is what she ran for the last 10K, that 15K world record. She went through in the half marathon in 44:29. So she was only 9 seconds off of that, and then she ran another 6K.
That's insane.
Which is just like you can see my head spinning, I think, right here. So I mean, for me, like, that is like the greatest distance running performance of all time, and I can't think of one better. And I mean, am I surprised? By the time, yes, that she broke it by 70 seconds. I'm not surprised that she broke the world record, because I've always, and history has proven this out, like, I've always believed that the half marathon world record, it's going to be broken by someone who's moving up from the track, from the 5K, 10K, someone who's really fit, someone who's really sharp. Everyone at that level is running a lot of volume. So they go into this and they're just really efficient at that half marathon pace, and they can go fast. Not someone coming down from the marathon who's super strong. And I mean, she's the world record holder at the 5,000, 10,000. She won bronze in Tokyo in the 10,000. I mean, she's run 29:01 for 10K. But I mean, this performance makes that 29:01 look like kind of slow in comparison. So, I mean, I got no more words than that. Mind blown.
I want to ask you though, Aaron, with all of this great performance, Mario called it greatest distance performance of all time. But like, when Gidey's career goes down when her career ends, she still really hasn't won. She lost to Stefan Hassan at the Olympics in the 10K. Like, those titles and those championships are not coming to her yet. Is that the one thing that's going to be holding her back to becoming the greatest women's distance runner of all time?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a struggle, because I look at her records right now, and she reminds me of Bekele in his prime, insane 5K and 10K record. And then he goes onto the roads, and he has like the second fastest time in the marathon of all time, which is crazy. But he has the medals. He has the medals to back him up. But she's still pretty young, and I think
she's 23.
Yeah,
23.
She's 23. So I think it's gonna be a struggle, because she has Stefan Hassan that she's battling.
23? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. She's battling Stefan, and a lot of other amazing women. But I think once she moves to the marathon, like, she's gonna be the one. Like, she's gonna be the Kipchoge. I feel like she's gonna break open break open the floodgates.
So I just want to press pause on that, because I don't want to see her move to the marathon just yet. I mean, she's 23.
Yeah.
I gotta think that, I mean, the next Olympics is, let's say, 3 years away at this point. So she'll be all of 26 at that point. That could be her time. I mean, who knows what Safan's doing at that, at that point. And I think we'll talk about her later in this podcast. But I mean, she still has time to win those big events, to win the world titles, to win, the Olympic titles. I mean, there's no reason to think that she won't continue to break records, on the track, which kind of makes it scary to think about if she could push that half marathon world record down even further. But two things, like one, I think she has no reason to jump to the marathon just yet. Not that either of you are suggesting that so far. When she does, I hope it's kind of like Elliot did. Like, as she's a little bit older, she starts kind of dipping her feet in it as she starts transitioning away from the shorter stuff. But I mean, at 23 years old, to do what she's done just from a time standpoint so far is super exciting. And I think she just needs to continue gaining that high level racing experience, and it's only a matter of time before someone of that ability level just starts winning everything in sight.
Are we in a golden age right now in women's distance running? Because it feels like it. It really feels like it, from the 800 up, to be honest.
Right.
Most definitely.
I think so. It's hard to say that when you're in it. I think that's one of those things that you can't like really declare until several years later when things start to settle, maybe. But it seems that way for sure. I mean, just the times that these women are popping, the dominance, the depth, kind of across the board. I mean, I can't think of another period of time to this point in history where we've seen anything like it. I mean, there's a lot that contributes to it as well, and that's certainly a more nuanced discussion when you consider, I mean, everything from certainly the shoe technology to, even like they're saying the track in Tokyo was faster than, any track that's ever been run on. So I mean, it's an interesting argument and discussion, but I think so. I mean, we're seeing some crazy stuff.
I would go on record, say right now, a historian can look up, we can talk about this, and I would love to hear about it, but this may be the greatest year of women's running, period, from the 100 to the marathon, like, period. And that just moves on right into the World Athletics Athlete of the Year picks, man. We had nominees of Valerie Allman, Jasmine Camacho Quinn, Safan Hassan, Faith Kipyegon, Maria Letisic, Sydney McLaughlin, Thing Mo, Elaine Thompson-Herah, Yomar Rojas, Shanae Miller-Weibo. And like, bro, like those are some of the greatest athletes of all time in their respective fields. And I don't know like how we're gonna pick and who are you gonna pick for this, but like let's start off with Aaron. Like, who would you nominate as your woman World Athletics Athlete of the Year? Like, this is pretty insane.
I'm looking at this list right now though, and I'm thinking like greats of all time. Like, you have Safan Hassan, you have Elaine Thompson, Sydney McLaughlin, Yomir Rojas. You have world record holders on here, bro. Like, this is insane. But to me, I gotta give it to Elaine Thompson. That's what I gotta do, man. She ran 10.5. Like, she ran 10.5 and 10.6 several times. Like, no one has ever done that. A lot of people are saying that basically was the world record because FloJo's was like super wind aided. I don't know. And to be double, to win the 1 and the 2, I don't know.
Only other person that's done that is Bolt.
That's what I'm saying. And the time she's running, or she's separating herself from everyone, almost just as Bolt did. So that's who I would pick. Mario? He got something else. He got someone else.
I do have something else. Because I mean, if this is so hard because she was so dominant as you just described. And I think if she ran like 10.48 and just got right under FloJo's record, I'd say, yeah, no doubt. Because I do think also like the 100 meters, and it long has been, like, it is the marquee event of track and field. It's certainly the most recognizable. And for that reason, I think it carries like a bit more weight. But I mean, I look at like Sydney McLaughlin, right? I mean, she wins the US trials. She beats Delilah Muhammad in world record time. and then does it again at the Olympics in world record time. She becomes the first woman ever to break 52 seconds.
Crazy.
And she does that at the trials. Then she does it again at the games and is well under 52 seconds. In the 400-meter hurdles, and I mean, there's always excitement. There's always, I agree with that. I think it's the hardest event, and there's always people always get excited about the 100, and it's very straightforward. But like the 400-meter hurdles, like when you consider just the history of that event, how hard it is, and then also I think, and maybe this is my American bias showing, but just how much excitement there was around that event. I mean, I'm a distance guy. Like I love distance running. I mean, I pay attention to everything, but I love distance running. I was like, between that and the women's 800, I mean, I can't decide which event I was more excited about this year.
I agree.
In track and field. And I mean, for Sydney to, come into this Olympic year and to beat Delilah Muhammad, handily, and Delilah ran very well herself, but to bring like that record, like under a barrier, to break the world record twice, to win the trials and win an Olympic medal. I mean, I've got to give her the nod.
Wow, I'm going Sifan Hassan. Sifan Hassan, what she did in that Olympics was incredible. Crazy. And her breaking that 10,000 meter record, but Gidey did break it the other day, but just break it the next 2 days later. But her doing that was insane. I think it may be hard for Hassan to get it because you still got Yulimar Rojas, who was undefeated this year and broke her outdoor, not her outdoor record, but she finally got the outdoor world record. She had the indoor before that. I think that's also going to be a name, but Hassan, what she did, and I think if she would have got that 5,000 world record or got top 5 at that pre-classic race, I think that would have really put her in the conversation. But it goes without saying, any of these women are going to be great picks, to be honest. And like I said, I really think this is probably the greatest year of women's running ever, even just from a media standpoint as well.
You could have also added, I mean, I know it was only 10, but you could have added Gidey into that conversation as well. But I think they made those choices before she broke the half marathon world record, because I mean, she, as you just mentioned, Joshua, broke Hassan's 10K world record 2 days after she ran it. She did get Olympic bronze, and then the world record in the half marathon. I mean, she wouldn't have been my choice as the winner, but you could have certainly included her in that conversation. But I mean, we're talking a wide span of events here, but I thought it was just worth throwing that in there before we move on to the men.
For the nominees, we had Joshua Cheptegei, Ryan Krauser, Mondo Duplantis, Daniel Stahl, Eliud Kipchoge, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Vitalis Tentagolu, Pedro Pichardo, Karsten Warholm, and Damian Warner. Who are you guys thinking for the picks and nominees for this one? Most definitely. Aaron, your pick for the men?
This one is hard too. I'm looking at the list, but I don't know. I gotta go. I'm a throws guy, as my boy Chavez would say. So I'm gonna go with Ryan Krauser, because this man broke the world record multiple times this year. Didn't lose. He was the most dominant athlete of the entire year. I mean,
and he was dripped out at pre when he got the mullet.
Dripped out. You could say he was more dominant than Elaine Thompson, to be honest, bro. He didn't lose anything, and he threw it further than anyone ever in history, multiple times.
Mario,
I'm gonna back you up on that. I'm gonna go with Ryan Krauser. That was my pick as well. I mean, for him to break the world record at the trials, 23:37, win the games for the second time in a row. I mean, to defend an Olympic title has got to be one of the hardest things to do in sports, and to do it breaking an Olympic record and in the process, and then, as you just alluded to, Aaron, to be that dominant in your event, to throw over 22 meters as many times. I think it was 58 times.
That's crazy.
58 times he threw over 22 meters, and he did not lose. He went 15-0 this season. I mean, I think you got to give it to Ryan Krauser, and part of the reason I want to give it to him as well is I do think the throws They get overlooked a lot in our sport. And I mean, that was the field event that I paid the most attention to this year, both at the trials and the games. And I just remember like watching I know the throws community is really tight, it's really small, but seeing the excitement of all the other guys around him when he broke that record at the trials was pretty cool. Like that was one of my favorite moments of the year in athletics.
Wait, are we just gonna forget that Karsten Warholm ran 49? Like, are we gonna forget about that for a second? I completely understand. I understand, but like, I don't know. Ryan Krauser is beast, and I think on this podcast a lot we have talked about like we've definitely gave the throws its credit and like how exciting it's been for these past couple years. Even the year before when Krauser was throwing some of the best series of all time when he did at Drake, but like. Bro, this man ran 49 seconds in the 400-meter hurdles. He could have beat no shade.
46, bro.
45.
45. We way off.
Oh my gosh. Wait. No,
you thinking of the girls.
I'm sorry. But like 45, you're at 45. Like, bro, he could have beat some of the people in the first round of the 400 at the Olympics. That's crazy.
I mean, like we're just saying,
hurdles.
It still doesn't sound real to me. That's why I said 46. Like 45, that still doesn't sound like.
Wait, I said 49. People. Yeah, 45. That's insane.
45
bro.
doesn't sound. That just doesn't sound real. Like that's insane. Like the fact I'm still mad that Rye lost. So that's why I'm hating, bro. I don't care. I wanted to Rye to win that race, bro. Like, how can this man run 46-1 and lose? That's not fair, bro.
It's like a cheat code, man.
I know. This man ripped his shirt. I was like, dang, that sucks, bro.
You need kryptonite, man. That's the only way you can stop him or something.
I mean, he probably had the most entertainment value of anyone that we've discussed. I don't know if that counts for anything. He did win the Diamond League crown. I mean, I mean, Josh, I don't like. I mean, you can make a good argument for that. I don't know. Yeah.
That world record, Mario. I think that world record is just as good as Gooday's. I didn't think that was possible.
Which one? There's so many world records this year.
I was saying Gooday's and Warholm's. Both of those.
Okay.
I didn't know it was possible. Someone can run 45 in over hurdles. Like I was thinking, they're gonna run 46. That would be crazy. And he ran 45. I was like, what?
45.9. I mean, it's insane. I mean, that reminded me of Michael Johnson back when I first was like getting into this sport in 1996, watching him at the Atlanta Games, like that 19.32 that Michael Johnson ran in Atlanta. There's something about being under a barrier. So yeah, 45.9, like it's just like, okay, no one's ever done that before. But 19.32 at the time was just like, I mean, it didn't break like a clean time barrier, but that was like so otherworldly. People were like 19.32, like how did that happen? It reminded me a bit of that. Different event, but same kind of like wow factor around it. So I mean, it's a good argument. I mean, that was my number 2 was Karsten Warholm, but I wanted to give it to Ryan Krauser just because he was so dominant. And I mean, again, to defend an Olympic title, I don't care what event it is, like that's really, really hard to do. And I gotta give him the nod just for that and just the dominance that he had this entire season.
As we move on to the podcast, we have a special edition of Fall.
Oh no! I believe Usain Bolt false started. I think Usain Bolt just false started.
Where we give you guys our hot takes from the track and running world and basically just ask if it's a false start or not. If it's a false start, that means that take it's whack, it's not happening. That's just why are you even talking right now? You're jumping the gun. That's what a false start is. This next take that we got, it's kind of maybe a little bit more controversial and the wording for this may offend some people, but we'll just go out there and say it. Shalane Flanagan has just averaged about 236, 237 for 5 different of the major marathons over the past 7 weeks now, running Boston and Chicago back to back. Well, Chicago and Boston back to back. Shalane Flanagan is embarrassing ultra marathoners right now. Is this happening, Aaron? Is she embarrassing ultra marathoners by doing this?
Is she embarrassing them? Dang. Well, that's such a harsh word to say. But I mean, I'm gonna say that's a false start, bro. I don't think she's embarrassing them. Honestly, I don't think she's embarrassing them. Like, she's Shalane Flanagan. Like, you just gotta put respect on that. One of the best American marathoners of all time. So of course she can do that. She's embarrassing. If she honestly, she might be embarrassing them because she's embarrassing a lot of people when you think about it. Like, she embarrassing a whole bunch of us. If I went out there and ran, I'm pretty sure she would beat me. So she would embarrass me too. So. Ain't no shame in getting embarrassed by Shalane Flanagan. So wait, I don't even know what my take is. It's funny.
Well, as someone who was recently embarrassed by Shalane Flanagan at the Boston Marathon, meaning I passed her at about 1.5 miles, and then she went by me at like 23 miles, like I was standing still. Granted, I had a very rough last 14 miles because of my stomach. I would say that's a false start. I mean, you know, Shalane Flanagan is embarrassing a lot of people right now, but she's not embarrassing ultra marathoners. And I feel like I'm somewhat qualified to talk about this as someone who's raced ultra marathons himself, but who has also coached a number of top ultra marathoners. It's a different sport than what Shalane Flanagan is doing right now. I mean, what she's doing is impressive, and she is definitely like embarrassing a lot of people, to Aaron's point, but it's very different from racing an ultra marathon. Now, that said, I think if Shalane really wanted to go for like Des Linden's 50K world best right now, she'd have a good shot. I wouldn't say she would definitely do it, but she has shown that she's got like the fitness that she could go through a marathon at low 230s and hang on for another 8K. I think she's going to send it here in New York next week, which is a whole, you know, another discussion. But when I think of ultra marathons, like, you know, beyond 50K, so we're getting up to 50 miles, 100K, especially if you take them off the roads, like that's a completely different sport. I mean, you could certainly keep her on the roads, but you know, crazy shit happens after 50K, certainly after like, you know, 50 miles. But I mean, she's just, you know, she's embarrassing a lot of people right now, but she's also just really impressive in that she's been able to like just run at such a consistently high level week in and week out here for these last 5 races that she's got under her belt. But I don't think she's embarrassing ultra marathoners.
Is it something you would want to see though, like Des Linden and Shalane Flanagan, like one day, like lacing up for like a 50-mile race or a 50K? Is that something that like it would excite you
for like Western states? That would be awesome.
Western states, I think would, you know, I mean that's 100 miles over very tough terrain. I mean, I think both of them would need a few years just to get prepped for that sort of thing. But I'd love to see the two of them race each other head to head in a road 50K or 50 mile. Hell yeah. I mean, I think that would be wildly entertaining and people would be into it. Because the ultra runners would certainly be into it, but you'd also have like the people who follow track and field and road racing and marathoning who would also be into it just because it's Des and Shalane. So I mean, something like that would be wildly entertaining. But something like Western states, I mean, it's a different sport. We'll leave it at that. Like ultra trail racing is a different sport than even ultra marathoning on the roads.
Aaron, that's like those people that got lost in Japan, bro.
Dude, that's sad.
That's insane.
Conversation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But then also another take that we have with cross champs coming up with Sound Running and Trials Miles, so having cross champs at the Mount Sac course. Mario, have you ran Mount Sac before? I've seen the course.
I have never raced Mount Sac. I'm familiar with it just from following the sport. I know that it's just a really tough cross country course.
Well, they're turning this 2.93 mile course into a 10K. Our pros will not survive this course. Is that a false start, Aaron? You've ran it. Is that a false start? Pros won't survive this. I think we're gonna have some people drop out, bruh.
No, that's a false start. So the pros are gonna survive it. They're gonna survive it for sure, and they're gonna run fast. Honestly, I think some of them are gonna destroy these hills, and they're gonna be able to recover quick. But you know who's gonna not finish? It's that open race. There's a lot of people in the open race signed up for this. You don't need to do this. You don't gotta prove nothing. You don't need to go beat your high school PR, bro. It's all good. Like, don't do this to yourself. Like, I'm telling you. But the pros are gonna be fine. I think
it's a false start as well. But I think it will be interesting on the professional side of things because it is not I don't think it's going to be fast. And I think that's going to make it a different kind of race. And you are going to see some upsets in that pro race at Mount Sac. That much I'm sure of. But I don't think it's going to, I don't think that it's going to,
They better hope CJ Albertson doesn't show up.
I hope CJ Albertson shows up.
He might upset some people for sure. That would be
exciting. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be exciting. Definitely for someone that raced Mount Sac and hates Mount Sac and knows. I've done a 4-mile race on that course and it was not fun. So I can't imagine doing a 10K. That does not sound fun at all. But our last false start take we got is Mr. Freeze. He's a famous dude in baseball that runs down people on what is that called?
Baseball.
The warning track.
The warning track in the baseball, in the outfield as well. He just runs people down. Mr. Freeze recently ran down Chad Ochocinco, the famous and retired NFL wide receiver for the Bengals. And so I'm just saying, Mr. Freeze would catch all of y'all. Is that a false start? He would catch every single one of us. Is that a false start, Aaron?
Bro, look at this man go. Okay. Straight up though, this man wouldn't catch me. That's a false start. Like,
okay.
I haven't been running like that, but I'm better. See this guy celebrating early and stuff. That would never happen to me, bro. How long is that straight? Like about 300, 200? I don't know.
That's probably I'm gonna call that 250. Yeah, 250? I'm gonna call that 250.
I don't think he could get me, bro.
Is he getting you, Mario?
Yeah, he's gonna get me because I have a terrible start. I think I would lose it on the start. I mean, if it were, let's say, over 400, I'd like my chances. But yeah, he would catch me because look at his start. I mean,
gosh.
I mean, yeah, I can't compete with that.
I would love to say that he would not catch me, but honestly, bruh, if he comes up on me, I'm gonna be scared. That's the thing. I'm gonna be scared. Like I'm confident in my ability, but what I've seen, what he has done, and just his form doesn't break. I don't know, man. It's gonna and he catch John, bro. 2 weeks, like a year ago, Mario. This guy was saying that Chad Johnson could run like a 54. This guy, Aaron, said that Chad Johnson could run like a 54 like 2 years ago.
So I don't know. He was running so slow, bro. He was running so slow. I don't know. I can't defend that man.
But he's still at 54 shape. I don't know, bro. Like he catching all of us.
Dude, we need this dude on the podcast, bro. We need Mr. Freeze. I need to know what is his track background. Because this start is nice.
Like, watch his start. I mean, look at that. I wouldn't stand a chance.
Ground quick.
I wouldn't stand a chance.
Then once he gets his top speed too. No, that's wild right there. He just hit another gear.
I'm sorry, but that guy's slow. That couldn't be me. I wouldn't let that. I haven't been running, bro, but I couldn't get embarrassed like that. I couldn't let that happen.
Do I get to wear super spikes?
Ooh. I wonder when.
I don't know if it would help on the dirt, but I want every advantage that I can get.
Yeah, I don't know how you get picked for this at the game, but you may not even be prepared for that. You may just be out there in your Vans. You get picked for this. But Mario, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. I really do appreciate you. Appreciate you for the pep talk too. We're hyped for New York. We're hyped for everything that you got going on in the morning shakeout as well. And yeah, thanks for coming on and just helping us with everything you've helped out so far. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited for you, not just this weekend in New York. I mean, I really do think that is going to be like kind of a big stage where you can really, just make yourselves known even more, but just for the work that you're doing. I mean, you guys are an important voice in the sport. Your energy is incredible. I mean, I've been this excited to talk about track and running. I mean, anyone who listens to my show, not that I do this sort of stuff, but I mean, I could do this for like 2 hours and just like go back and forth about this stuff. So thanks for bringing the energy. You brought it out in me, and I know everybody else who listens in to you guys regularly feels that. So keep on keeping on.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. You're a legend in the game, so it's nice to get kudos from you. But if you guys haven't listened to Mario's podcast, go check it out. The morning Shakeout on all streaming platforms. Trust me, you're going to love it for sure.
Thanks, y'all, for listening to the Two Black Runners podcast. Thanks again to Mario for coming on and joining us. That was a really good time. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really want to do more and more of that and just covering more running news. We definitely got stuff in the works to do more of that, or maybe even a different show. I don't know. Could be coming possibly soon. But also just bringing on people like that, how we did before with Jameson, now with Mario. And we want to bring other creators, not just to talk about we love talking about doing the interviews and everything like that, but be able to get their views and like our hype with their version and their style of podcasting. Always fun too. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Aaron, you got anything else to say before we get out of here, bro?
As usual, man, I just gotta say, if you listen this far into the podcast, you truly are a day one homie, and we cannot wait to see y'all all out at New York live November 5th. 9:30 a.m. I said it like 10 times already. So can make sure you go rate the podcast, leave a review, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your cousin, tell your ex, tell everybody, bro. But appreciate y'all for listening. Love it.
Hey, shout out to all the day ones. See y'all in New York this weekend. Really do appreciate y'all. Let's have a great November. Let's get it.